I am a real estate agent, advisor, and investor, and welcome to my channel. I will be dropping videos each and every week with covering different topics. Really, the whole point of me making a YouTube channel is to kind of break down some of the things that I've learned throughout the years and make it a little bit easier to digest for the average day person who may not know a ton about real estate. So if you like the content that I'm producing, please hit the subscribe button below. Post your comments down below too. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. But today we are talking about why it's okay. Yep, I said it, why it's okay to fail the real estate exam. So let me tell you a little bit about me. I was in college and I had met someone who said, wow, I'm making all this money from real estate. I just got a $10,000 commission check. And at the time that sounded amazing. And so I said to my parents, hey, I'm gonna get my real estate license. And so I did. I signed up for the class and it was horrible. It was awful. It was a weekend class, full week, basically 8 to 5, Saturday, Sunday, for I think 2 weekends. And I lasted maybe half an hour in the class. And I went and said something to the teacher and I said, I can't do this. And to be honest, I had no clue what the teacher was talking about. It was like he was speaking another language. And I went home, I cried, and I felt so defeated that I clearly didn't have what it took to be a real estate agent. Now, keep in mind, this was, probably my sophomore year of college. I heard something the other day that said that your brain doesn't actually stop developing until you're 25. So, who knows? But when looking back, I just wasn't ready. And I didn't have a lot of real world experience. I had never purchased my own home. I didn't know anything about mortgages. I didn't know anything about how the whole real estate process worked. And looking back, that was okay. It was fine that it wasn't meant to happen at that time. So that was the first kind of, I guess you could say, time that I dipped my toe into the real estate world. So it was an epic fail. After that epic fail, I would say fast forward maybe 5 or 6 years, my husband and I ended up moving to our hometown of Dartmouth, where I live now. And I'd gone through the whole home buying process. I, had a better understanding of what it entailed, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And at this point, I had more real world experience. So I just think it was a better time in my life to be able to dedicate the, time to studying and, taking the test. And I knew that this is something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So I signed up for the real estate class online, which was a big difference from when I had done it originally. Back then, when I had first done it, you had to go in person to take the classes. Well, now everything is so much easier. And I, at the time, was a new mom, and so my schedule was all over the place. And what's great about it is that you can take the classes whenever you have time. There's no rush, so that worked for me. But I studied for maybe 3 or 4 months, and I studied hard. Then it came time to take the test. Now, this is why I'm going to tell you that it's okay to fail, right? I am not a good test taker. I never have been. I struggle with keeping my concentration and just staying in one place for long periods of time. That's always been challenging for me. And I think that that's what was so hard about taking the test. So in Massachusetts, and as there are in many states, there's the national portion of the exam, and then there's also the state portion of the exam. And you could be there for 3 hours taking this test. So when I walked in, I was feeling confident, and as time went on, my confidence just started to drop. And it's a time thing for me, and everyone tests differently. So I finished, and I went up to the examiner, the test person, I don't know what their name is, the test proxy, I think. And he said, well, I have good news and I have bad news. I'm like, oh God. Well, the good news is that I passed the state, but I didn't pass the national portion of the exam. So, of course I was bummed, but looking back, it was probably one of the best things, because in the state of Massachusetts, and again in many of the states, if you pass one portion of the exam, you only have to retake the part that you didn't pass. So again, looking back, it was so good because I was able to just go home, study certain parts of the national exam that maybe were kind of my weak subjects, and just focus on that. And then when I went back for the second time, it was so much easier because I wasn't sitting there for such a long period of time. I already had half of it under my belt, and I just knew that I needed to finish the second half. So my point in all of this is that everyone is different. Everyone's timelines are different. It took me a few tries. It wasn't the first time that I tried, it wasn't the right time in my life. I wasn't experienced enough. I didn't have enough real world knowledge. And then the second time, I just wasn't able to sit there that long. And, like I said, everyone works differently. So you need to figure out what works best for you and really sit down and think if this is the right time for you to get your real estate test. Because if you say no, it's not, that's okay, right? There will be a better time in your life, and if the time works out down the road, everything will be okay. Everything has a way of working itself out in the end, and I am so grateful that 10 years ago when I first tried taking the test, I didn't go through with it because I wasn't ready, and so that don't think of failure as failure. Think of it as a stepping stone to get to the next point that will help you to accelerate your career. And for me, that's just what it is. I didn't have enough real world experience, and I wasn't ready, and that's okay. You have to live and learn, and it's about how you move on from that point. So I hope that this is encouraging. If any of you are feeling discouraged or frustrated throughout this whole process, being an agent can be tough. It's not like you have a steady salary to rely on. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. And I am here to let you know that there is hope on the other side, and if you put in the work and the dedication, everything has a way of working itself out in the end. So I hope that you guys found this helpful. Please, if you're at all interested in the content that I'm making, hit the subscribe button below, post your comments as well, and thank you so much. Hope you guys have a great day.